Yeah.
You ever encounter those weird one-off situations in a game that just baffle you? You don't know what to make of it or really what the purpose of it was. And I feel like the Super Mario Galaxy series of games feature quite a lot of those, but the one we'll be covering today actually has me perplexed quite a bit. Mainly because oftentimes when we encounter these things within the game, it's either from a developer accidentally leaving it behind, or was put there as a joke. And today's story has me split right down the middle. This is the story of Luigi's ghost in Super Mario Galaxy 2, and the strange occurrence that leaves him soft-locked in one of its levels. So one of the strange additions to Super Mario Galaxy 2 that wasn't in the first game were the appearances of ghosts across the galaxies. These ghosts take on the form of Luigi, and when activated, begin to move. Throughout your post-game adventure with Luigi, anytime you clear a star with him, a ghost will generate on that map. Upon return to the same galaxy and mission, you'll find a ghostly clone of yourself at the start. If you touch the ghost, they'll begin moving to a specific location on the map and leave behind a trail of arrows for you to follow. This is so that if you can't keep up with the ghost, you can still follow along by seeing where he has walked. Usually, these ghost Luigis will lead you to power stars or hidden areas in the level. I'll be honest though, when I first encountered these ghosts, I just assumed they were recordings of my own play sessions. Sort of like a time trial so I could compete against my own level attempts, with the best record being saved. It wasn't until a bit later when I realized that these ghosts weren't recordings of my gameplay though. Partially, this is because the first one I activated behaved in a way that was similar to my own gameplay. I just assumed from that point forward that's all they were. Glorified time trial ghosts. But it turns out it actually wasn't my gameplay I was witnessing. It's apparently the gameplay created by developers who made the game. Now, I'll be honest and say that I don't know where this is actually verified. One could obviously assume this is based off fact that it isn't our own gameplay, but nowhere in the instruction booklet does it label it as such. If it does say within the official strategy guide, let me know because I sifted through it briefly and didn't find it. But this is the knowledge that people pass around online and can be inferred just because it isn't our own gameplay recording. This is where the whole mystery sort of begins too though, because like I said, majority of the time these Luigis have a destination. Either they take us to a star we got before, where we can see them hanging on to it, or they take us to comet medals or other hidden items. Most of them have a destination though, which is why this one case we're about to highlight is really strange. So let's head on over to World 6 and launch straight into Clockwork Ruins Galaxy. This level in particular is pretty nifty since it seems to take place in a similar world to Slipsand Galaxy. It's these huge rotating ruins fixated above a world full of giant towers all around. This level boasts 3 normal stars and 3 green stars. The main part of the level itself is pretty linear, but something neat about the supporting areas are that if you travel to them on the wrong star via non-normal methods, such as a flying mod, the level itself actually turns invisible. Take Time for Adventure's final area for example. All the supporting objects are there, but the world geometry itself is gone. Luckily, the collision is still intact so we can walk around on it. Even if we head down the pipe over here and come back out, the world still remains unloaded. But I digress. Choosing Star 3, the Ledge Hammer Trap, when Ghost Luigi is activated, he runs all the way and grabs the star. His behavior is normal, but upon choosing Time for Adventure, Star 1, the level starts as normal and we can see our Luigi buddy nearby. However, once we activate him, things get really weird. Instead of proceeding to where the star is, the ghost instead runs backwards to the flame, turns around, and backflips high into the air. This ghost Luigi then spins ground pounds, creating the homing ground pound attack and launches straight into the fire below. This in turn burns Luigi high into the air, and at the peak of his jump, Luigi twitches for a moment before being suspended in the air indefinitely, a behavior unlike anything else I've witnessed in the game. Because of the short distance traveled, only 2 green arrows actually generate for us to follow him. One near where he was standing, and another floating in the air next to the pillar. But that's it. Luigi will be stuck floating here forever at this point. The strange thing about him is that it actually looks like he's sitting idle in a launch star. Basically the state of limbo that happens when you enter a launch star, but the game is waiting for you to initiate a spin attack to start the launch. Normally a player falls out of this limbo state if they don't act fast enough, but Luigi's ghost is stuck like this forever. This raises a ton of questions though. Is this intentional, or is this a glitch? Was Luigi actually supposed to continue past this point throughout the level, or is this truly the end? I like to believe it's not the end because of his strange limbo behavior. It'd be different if he was stuck in his normal falling animation, but since he has a state change, I can't help but wonder if we're only seeing a part of his true path. But where would this invisible launch star take him? So generally curious to see if I could see more, I took a closer look at the level as a whole and examined all of its objects. Luigi's ghost as an object is called Ghost Attack Ghost. It just looks like a T-pose Luigi until it's running in the game. However, there's actually a problem with his object that I was hoping wouldn't be there. Generally, most NPC objects in the game are tethered to routes called paths. This could be the walking area for a Goomba, or the point A to point B travel system of a launch star. Objects will follow these paths as if they are a train on a track. I was hoping that looking at Luigi would reveal the path data associated with him, but that isn't the case. It's not like there's an invisible launch star either that he gets stuck in. His sequence of events that he follows just happens to have him interacting with an object that doesn't exist, yet his behavior mirrors that it does. We don't have anything to go off of, which makes this problematic. At first I was thinking, well, maybe the developers did this because trying to follow Luigi through these ruins is a nightmare. But they did it with Star 3, so why does Star 1 behave differently? Clearing Star 1 with Ghost Luigi in Limbo doesn't do anything except reward you with a new record. He still persists when you load up a level again too, forever floating above the flame. Since aspects of this were beyond my developer know-how, I reached out to Super Mario Galaxy modder Captain Byte on Twitter to run the concept by him. He took a closer look at the files that determined Ghost Luigi's movement, and it turns out they were indeed very, very small. Comparing Star 1 size to Star 3 was a difference of 4 kilobytes to 34 kilobytes. What that tells us is that Star 1's sequence does end after those brief inputs. Star 3 is a much larger size because it includes all the data associated with getting Ghost Luigi to the end of the stage for the secret star. So it turns out that even though this ghost seems to be soft-locked in Limbo, it's intentional. There's no more steps in the sequence. After looking around it a bit further, Captain Byte came to the conclusion that perhaps this whole ordeal is just a play on the Jackal Goombas nearby. Although, to most players, this probably wasn't clear. Perhaps the reason why this ghost does a spin ground pound is because this normally defeats these Goombas in one hit, pumpkin shield and all. But if you do this the moment they spit their ghostly fire out, you'll get burned before you actually hit them, which would certainly mirror the ghost's behavior when he hits the torch. It seems weird to have a ghost revealing this gaming tip this late in the game though, especially since they were present in the first game and also in the ghost houses in this one. By this point, the player had already been through the whole game with Mario, or at least generally most players would be. But I guess that also could be the reason why this ghost is goofing off with this silly display. At this point, players know the game very well. Any tip the ghost could be showing them in a linear level like this probably wouldn't be helpful. So why not record something funny instead? So although this ghost caused players to scratch their head at its odd behavior, perhaps the explanation behind it is pretty simple after all. And with that, thanks for watching guys and gals, and until my next video, cheers.